Hey everybody, it's Darren from the DK Project. Like you didn't know. Want to talk to you today about our sponsor, our favorite again this year, Grady Restoration. Old DK did it again. I was out at my local watering hole, meeting with the people. And I had someone come up to me who had heard the Grady Restoration spot and were just head over heels with the work that they had done. They just completed a project with Grady Restoration. They thought they might have some insurance damage, and I'm not going to go into the details, but they contacted Grady Restoration because they heard about it on the cast. And Grady headed over there, gave them an estimate, and took it from there. Called the insurance company, met the adjuster, did all the dirty work. Then they started the restoration. Start to finish, in and out, perfect job. These people had nothing but great things to say. It's always nice to hear from listeners when they, are helping our sponsors out who have been helping us out. So make sure you give Grady Restoration a call the next time you've got a project you don't want to handle. Or if you have questions that you may have some insurance damage, give them a call, 952-472-1570. Or look them up on the web, GradyRestoration.com.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go! All right. Welcome back to the DK Project. We are hot and heavy in our new temporary digs, which they're working. I'm not saying they're great, but they're working. So we've got a special guest with us today. You probably know who it is, but I'm going to let you in on it. Because those of you who aren't watching on the on YouTube, it's Naomi Grossman. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am good. And you're, where are we finding you at today?
I'm in my WeHo condo. That's West Hollywood.
WeHo. I like it. We were talking about this a little bit before we jumped on. You got some interesting stuff around you there. This is your inspiration room or what?
Yeah. I feel like Pepper, bought this place. So she might as well, get her own room.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I feel like it's like my trophy room or, if I were a hunter, I'd have my, deer and elk. These are my deer and elk. Okay. Well
put. I like that. The trophy room it is. I was going through your bio and the information that they sent me. Let's start at the beginning. Are you a California native?
I am not. I was born on February 6th, a few days ago.
Belated happy birthday.
Coldest day of the year in Denver, Colorado.
Oh.
A long time ago.
Oh, now. What, so you're in Colorado, you're doing your high school thing. You went to pretty nice university there. How did this all come about?
So I did, I was quite involved actually with the, children's theater and anything and everything there was in Denver, which wasn't a whole lot. But, regional commercials, Father Dowling Mysteries,
Did you know right away that was where you wanted to be? Theater?
Oh yeah, I always knew that's what I wanted, was to be an actress.
That's cool.
My parents were really great about exposing me to culture. So, we'd go to the theater and the ballet and all that. And so I just always, I'd look up there and say, that's where I want to be.
Really?
So I took a brief detour when I worked. I basically ditched high school to be an exchange student in Argentina. My senior year. Which was interesting because it was really like the one time of my life that I did something other than, focus on acting.
Right.
And yet it's honestly like informed my acting and my life for that matter in every way. And it's probably the best thing I've ever did for my acting career. Then from there, I went on to Chicago.
Let's stay there for a second.
In college.
Let's hold there.
Sorry.
So you were an exchange student in somebody else's house?
Yeah, that's
like
how
you didn't
it works.
know him?
You gotta exchange.
Well, yeah, I'm familiar with it, but it wasn't like a friend of your parents or anything. It was just you went through the service and your parents sent you over there and just I hope you have a good year. Like, is that how that works?
Yes, it is. It's funny. A lot of people give me that reaction, and my parents really were like, go. And I was an only child even.
Wow.
My folks were in the Peace Corps in Colombia as newlyweds. And so I think they really valued, travel and learning new languages and experiencing new cultures. And so, I was kind of over my high school and they just supported me in anything and everything. And I'm so grateful for that.
That had to be awesome. I was never given the opportunity, but I know my son, who is, a junior in college. He's had a few really close friends who were exchanged, however you want to say it, transplanted or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so then you get back to America, and then we go off to Chicago.
Yes, I was home about a month, and then I remember applying to college from Argentina, and that's kind of a stressful time, and especially a parent's life.
For sure.
Yeah. I remember my mom saying, like, did you send in the application? I'm like, I think it got there. I don't know if the fax machine worked, but evidently it did, because it's the only place I applied and I got in.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That solves that problem. I was at
Northwestern for 4 years, a sight unseen. I think probably had I experienced the cold of Chicago prior to my time there, I might not have gone for it, but I'm glad I did, because the relationships I made there were honestly, they're my best friends to this day.
Yeah, they're pretty normal there. I'm in Minnesota, and we're, dealing with this cold problem too. But I don't know. It's such a different atmosphere than California or even on the East Coast. It's just, middle America, So through at Northwestern, you just went through theater, or like, how does this happen? I mean,
Yeah, they have a really strong theater department. It was always, I remember, listed in the McNeil Air, whatever it was, the
McNeil Air. You're really dating yourself there.
Theater schools. And, at the time, that's all I cared about. I cared about, like, I wanted to be number one. I wanted to be, wherever was the best. Yeah. And it was the best theater school at the time. And I don't think it's changed much since. So I was a theater major and a Spanish minor, only because, I'd had that experience in Argentina, and I figured, that's an easy way to. Yeah,
right.
Easy A.
Yeah, but you speak something
else. But
what do you speak something else? It says in here.
Yeah, I speak Portuguese.
Portuguese. How does that happen?
There's actually a funny story. There was a gorgeous guy who was a couple years ahead of me in school, who was a legit Brazilian movie star back home in Brazil. And I knew this only because, like I said, I spent the last year in South America. Right. And I told, all my colleagues, I was like, he's famous, like, and gorgeous. And so I don't know, in my head, I thought, maybe if I, take Portuguese, he'll private tutor me, we'll fall while in love, have 1 million Brazilian babies. That was like my plan. I don't think I ever even outed myself as taking Portuguese to him. To this day, I don't even know if he knows who I am, but I know Portuguese.
Some good came out of it. You got something out of it. That's a good thing. That's it. Well, that's an interesting, I have to say, I've interviewed some people and I've never heard that version of why I learned a different language, but that's great. Do you ever use it?
Yeah. It's funny. I have a huge following in Brazil. In fact, which you can't tell how big it is, but it's about as big as me. It's like 5 feet.
Is it really?
It was given to me in Sao Paulo by a Brazilian artist. I remember, my Portuguese comes very, very handy in those, Q&As, and when I tweet in Portuguese. I'll never forget. For, those familiar with the show American Horror Story, the first half of the Asylum season, Pepper was sort of this monosyllabic grunter character. And then all of a sudden she gets abducted and is, fixed by the aliens. I'm not spoiling anything. The show's like 7 years old. Yeah. But I remember when I came back to Earth, I started tweeting, in all these the languages I know. And oh my God, if the internet in Brazil didn't just break, they were like, what? She not only does she speak, but she speaks our language. Anyway, so yes, I've gotten quite a bit of use out of it.
That's interesting. And that I find it to be such a pain in the ass to tweet anything or I'm even like hiring someone to do my social media, but you're doing it in different languages. I mean, that's way to take it for the team. That's outstanding. Do you speak other languages?
Well, Spanish and English. I mean, only the ones I know.
How big, I need some scale on this room. If that picture's 5 feet tall, something's wrong.
Well, maybe 4 feet.
What is that like? What is that like when you're cruising the beach or wherever you were in Sao Paulo and somebody comes up to you with that? That's just got to be so like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how touching.
It's so moving. It's,
does a crowd
that's why I have
that?
this because I feel like, my art inspired others' art. And that's like the greatest thing I could give someone. I guess I always kind of thought of being an actor as being a relatively self-serving thing, like me. I want to be, I want to be under the spotlight. But no, I never thought about the fact that I'm actually giving to people, like, especially when you think about it in this pandemic. And I don't just mean just me, I mean entertainers, artists,
right?
Where would the world be without Netflix right now? You know what I mean? Without somewhere to escape to in this, pandemic.
That's true.
I've come around. I feel like I'm, doing the Lord's work. Maybe that's a little excessive, but
no. That's very interesting because I imagine that in certain circles, you're noticed quite readily in public, but when you're in a foreign country and you're going about your business and whatever, and to have someone come up to you like that's just got to be really cool. I mean, someday when I grow up, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Let's say that. But I think that's really interesting to get a backside on that type of, that facet of the business, because you don't ever hear that. Everybody always wants to be famous and wants people to know their work and da-da-da-da-da. But then you have I have no privacy situation, which is a whole nother, side of it. But we're getting off track. So you were at Northwestern in theater. What happens like, okay, so now I have my theater degree. What do I do then?
Yeah. Good question. In my case, my college boyfriend, the RA, so scandalous.
What is it? The RA?
Resident assistant. Anyway, he was a
RA.
He graduated before me and moved out to Los Angeles to also work in the film industry. And he was a PA on Friends.
Whoa.
Which back in the day, I mean, that's like basically you've made it. You know what I mean? You're getting Jennifer Aniston's coffee, like stop the presses.
Hey now.
Just go get your star on the Walk of Fame already,
Yeah.
So I followed him out here, partially for love. Clearly I'm a hopeless romantic, but also because, I was done with the Chicago Winners. Yeah. And quite honestly, I always sort of had my eyes on a film and television career. As much as I, studied theater, I'm from the West. So moving to New York felt
busy,
far away. So anyway, I moved to LA and, the relationship fizzled immediately as they always do.
So here's a question. If I'm a PA on the, hearing echo. If I'm on a PA on the Friends show and they're getting like $1 million something an episode, what does a PA make? Like, I mean, the behind the scenes has got to be just dreadful in comparison to the shiny faces on the TV.
No, he's I don't know. I'm sure there's a rate.
What about?
But you're mostly being paid in people excited over the fact that you get to, you're spending your days with the friends.
So then, I mean, that has to be a lot easier way to cultivate a career in the industry when you start there. But then do you use that to bounce into something? I mean, obviously the relationship didn't work, but how do you like get your foot in the first door? Like, how did you kick it down?
No, I mean, no, that was a joke about like him being a PA, how that was going to help me. It wasn't. It got me to LA because at the time, I think this is true. You really kind of needed to be here. You know, like I said, I got as far as I could possibly get in Denver. And then I was, the fact is I joined the Screen Actors Guild, the, Actors Union, and then I was done because there was really very little union work to be had there. So I really needed to go to a major market like Los Angeles.
Right.
Nowadays it's different. Atlanta has a booming, Hollywood South scene, New Orleans for that matter, anywhere with tax incentives. New Mexico just built a whole big, studio. So, nowadays you don't have to move to LA, but then you did. So the boyfriend only got me, he got me west.
Right.
Although I probably would have gotten here on my own. And probably the fact that the relationship fizzled meant I had to kind of find my way all by myself, which I did. Although, no, the career did not just happen right away at all. I think I had this really warped idea of, what that theater degree, like you talked about, was going to do for me. Because the fact is, especially from Northwestern, there's a lot of people that didn't even get that theater degree that went on to like snatch up a sitcom right away. I mean, Zooey Deschanel didn't even graduate, and she moved right. All of a sudden she's the new girl, Zach Braff was in my class, and he wasn't even a theater major, and he was suddenly like the star of Scrubs. And so I was kind of looking around going, wait a minute, but I graduated summa cum laude. Like I got that theater degree, and but the fact is, it doesn't matter, sadly. Like it's not like a typical career, like, doctor, lawyer, whatever, where you can say, bam, there's my paper, give me my career already. I mean, at the time I used to go to the newsstands and, buy Backstage West or, any of the sort of actor trade papers. And I would submit my headshots to all the, whatever was casting for the week. And that is really soul sucking. I realized I was like, gee, I'm pursuing this acting career like full time, and yet I'm not acting. Like I'm just going to the post office is what I'm doing, like professionally.
Right.
But it's not paying me. So that's when I realized for myself that I was going to have to create my own opportunities because they weren't just being handed to me. So I started writing. I started writing my own one-woman shows. I wrote 2. Well, actually, I should say now I've written 3. I wrote a third during this pandemic.
Really? So are you selling them or are you out performing them?
Well, the first one was called Girl in Argentine Landscape. And I did it at a theater here in Hollywood. And then from there, for that matter, I toured it. I went off Broadway in New York. I took it back to Chicago to a solo theater festival there. I actually took it to Argentina. I mentioned that my Argentine experience really kind of formed me. And sure enough, that show was all about my time there. And a dear friend, Sharif Atkins, who was actually one of those successful actors right out of Northwestern who went to college with me.
So do you think you wronged yourself by actually getting the degree?
What's that?
You think you delayed yourself by actually getting the degree? You should have left early.
No, because I met people like Sharif. So basically Sharif No, Sharif finished with me, but immediately out of college, well, maybe not immediately, but I mean, within a year or two, he was, the new hot Black doctor on ER, which again, just like Friends at the time, was like the big show.
Yes.
He came to the theater, saw me, and said, "Oh, Naomi, this is fabulous. You need casting to see this. People need to know who you are." And I was like, "Well, easy for you, Mr. hot Black doctor on ER." Like, So he actually pulled out a checkbook, which is what we had, used at the time,
sure.
and wrote me a check for $3,000, which at the time was more money than I'd ever seen in my life. And he said, "I want you to shoot this. I want you to, hire a little skeleton crew and edit it and get it out to casting." And that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
And so, yes, not only did I, do as he said, but I also laid down some subtitles. And when I was in Argentina, I actually rented out a movie theater and I showed it on the big screen for, my friends and family, if you will, there, who gave me that experience.
That's so cool.
It was cool. So, when you ask, like, where did it go? It went all over. The second show I did was called Carnival Knowledge, Love, Lust, and Other Human Oddities.
Ooh.
Also totally autobiographical, all about sort of my, misadventures as a single lady in LA. Kind of like a Sex in the City, but like different coast.
Yeah.
Crappier shoes, So that show, like the first one, had like a sold out run, rave reviews here in LA. Then I took it to Scotland, to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is like it's one of the largest theater festivals in the world.
That's the big one.
Basically, the city of Edinburgh triples in size for for the month of August. And there's theater happening everywhere, like from church basements to like hotel attics. I mean, it's crazy. So I did a month there. From there, I was actually transferred to the West End in London and ultimately off Broadway in New York. And I've actually traveled around to various colleges all over. The Midwest, East Coast.
So you got out and made it happen. That's awesome. Do you like doing that now that you can choose to do it or not to do it? Would you do it with the third one? Get out and tour with it?
Oh, absolutely. Nowadays, who knows when we're going to be able to gather in theaters again in that way. My dream for this third one, and I don't think it's totally unrealistic, is to, make it into one of those Netflix comedy specials. I feel like everybody else and their mother has one. Why can't I? And it's probably more likely to happen than, rent out a theater and do it the old fashioned way.
For
so,
sure.
I see idea. That. I want that to happen first and foremost, only because I want to, ideally I'd like, the most amount of eyes on it I can have. And obviously television is the way to do that. But yes, my heart is in the theater. And so of course, if and when we're able to, travel and gather I
think some of our theaters are open already.
Really? That's wonderful news.
I think so. I'm going to put that in the Googler right now. I think it is. I haven't gone, but I think they are. But we're in a whole different world than you guys are. My daughter's out in San Diego, and she's not enjoying it. Yeah, no. Our theaters are open.
Wow.
Get it out there.
Now, but wait a minute. Your movie theaters, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What about your live theaters?
That's probably not true.
Only because, live theaters have to rehearse. Then they've got to...
Yeah, let's see what they say. I don't know. I don't know that we're there yet.
I see live theaters taking a little longer because, a movie theater, like a movie theater can just open and show like the next day.
Yeah.
Whereas a live theater they got to prepare, they got to learn their lines.
I don't know. I want to say I heard on the radio this morning that they're hoping to have everything open here by May.
That's great news.
Yeah, which means by May of next year, you'll be open.
Right.
I don't think our theaters are open, no. But let's hope they are.
Like I said, I have a dream. I have a plan.
Yeah.
I'm going with it. And then once we're able to do live theater, then I'll do that too.
Well, and I think
why limit yourself?
Right. For sure. Are you so what's your first TV movie role that you got once you get done with this one lady show?
Well, so you're going back in time. So I remember I got, I did like I said, Father Dowling was my first TV show.
Okay.
But I got that at like the age of 15,
I gotcha.
Before any of this.
Okay.
But yeah, I did a couple things.
Well, so you got a taste of it young.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I did Sabrina the Teenage Witch when I first got to LA. But for the most part, no, I took my sweet time.
Yeah.
Or rather, like I said, I just wasn't being cast in a traditional way. And I have a theory for that. A lot of times these they call them developmental actors. That is, actors just, first starting out are relegated to these roles like, nurse number 2 to the left, or, just the waitress who comes in and offers Drew Carey, want fries with that. And the fact is, these actors, there's nothing against them, but they kind of need to disappear a little. You know what I mean? They're just one up from extra.
Yeah.
And I don't disappear. Like, you can't even get a word in edgewise with me. You know what I mean? Like and in fact, I have worked as an extra and I was terrible at it. Like, if you watch the last scene of She's All That movie with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
I'm sitting directly behind him in the graduation scene where he's, naked with like a basketball in his lap.
Yeah.
I'm behind him, like mugging like a mother, like,
really?
And there's no missing me. Like, the point of extras is to just fill and to sort of disappear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, like spotlight, please.
Yeah.
So, the fact is I was just never going to get those roles. And now in retrospect, I'm kind of like, I don't want those roles.
Right.
I don't want to be the nurse number 2 to the left, spackle doctor, or spackle, scalpel.
Scalpel.
No
I see
wonder
why
I
you didn't
never
get
got
it.
I thought I was painting.
You're a lousy nurse.
But I don't know. The fact is I wasn't getting them. And yet they're also not gonna entrust like a giant part in a super green, brand new, fresh off the boat, developmental actor. So it was really kind of a chicken or the egg kind of thing where I was like, how's this gonna work? Well, the answer is the American Horror Story, when they were seeking this little character Pepper, who you see all over. Mm-hmm. The fact is, it was a small part. It was kind of just I come in and I, grunt here and there. I mean, I didn't have a whole ton of dialogue, but it allowed me to really really act to the back row and give it my all like I do.
I suppose if you don't have a lot of words, then you really have to focus on the acting because that's all you do.
Right. Well,
and you're
the fact is, the character wears a lot of makeup. Okay. Yeah. Like, there's hours and hours of prosthetics on my face. You're not going to give a role like that to a Kathy Bates or a Lady Gaga because you're paying a lot of money for their face. And so the last thing you want to do is cover it up.
Right.
My face is not as expensive. And so, so the fact is they needed kind of an unknown for this role. But they also needed somebody like me who had a little improv experience, a theater background, was really going to act her way through those prosthetics. And that's what I did. And as it turns out, I mean, it was really this just perfect storm of a role. It was small enough that I could get it, but it was big enough for me to, stand out.
Well, and how many years did you do that for?
I did that 2 seasons. And then, of course, I appeared in another season, which was not in that character, but, on the show. The show is an anthology series. It typically, but it almost works like a repertory company where it's the same actors every season, different story.
Okay.
So I although I'm the first character to appear in more than one season. Oh, so in right. It's almost like, reading an anthology of short stories. All of a sudden, come season 4 or come the 4th episode, or season rather, you realize, oh wait, this is connected to that other season. So.
Well, and how is it with all that makeup and all that? I mean, what you're a few hours and getting it all done up, and then it's hot and it's like, that's got to be, I don't want to say miserable, but.Not great.
I suppose, but I just wanted to work. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's all about perspective. I mean, how many jobs do you get to where they just say, you put on a robe and you lay back and you close your eyes for a couple hours. I mean, not very many.
It's not a horrible thing.
No.
That's interesting. I see, I was looking at your IMDb, and you've got all these beautiful pictures and a lot of different looks from Pepper to, all done up. But then there's this one that's like you have like a plastic outfit on or wax or something. What's going on there?
Oh, I know what you're looking at.
It looks like wax.
When you become known as like the ugliest person on television, the Hollywood stylists and, photographers come at you at all angles and want desperately to photograph you, especially when it becomes clear that you don't look like that you're actually could be pretty or could be. Okay. So that was really just a photographer and stylist who were, having some fun with me. But it's nice. I was never one of those actors that was, ever tried to be pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the little wannabe popular girl from high school, like, of course wants to be pretty. I want the boys to like me. But at the same time, that was never the goal. Like the goal was to play characters and to take the audience on a journey. But it's nice the way it's worked out. The fact that I get all this, credit now for being beautiful when that was never the goal,
Well, it's such a contrast from, Pepper when you get all done up. I mean, you've got such a swing from, all the other pictures and then those. It's interesting. It's very, it's really
I'm like the reverse Charlize Theron. She's known for being just such a knockout. And then when she did Monster, people were like, oh my God, she's such a great actress. Me, nobody knew me. I was like, oh my God, that thing is so ugly. What is that? And then all of a sudden I come out and they're like, oh, you know what? Not bad. So it's kind of nice. Like I said, I've never had so much credit, so many people, like the whole internet at once telling me how beautiful I am. Like that was never something I was going for, but when you play the ugliest person on TV, that's what happens.
It'll probably get you more notoriety, noticed more because it is such a contrast from the normal and there's no one else doing it, like you're the one. So it's kind of interesting, but you've got a whole bunch of other stuff on here. Did you get you were nominated for a Daytime Emmy? Let's not gloss over that. That's a big deal.
Yes, a Primetime Emmy, indeed.
Primetime.
It was, it was for a web series called Control-Alt-Delete.
Yeah.
Which was an abortion comedy. which is it's just a workplace comedy like any other. It's like just the way Cheers is like set at a bar, and Scrubs was set in a hospital. This is set in an abortion clinic, and let's face it, hilarious things happened everywhere. And
That's true.
Some of in my mind, my favorite comedies are actually dramedies. You know what I mean? When there's like, for that matter, my own solo shows are mostly hilarious, but there's like this pathos underneath it all. And, the things that make you laugh and then cry are that's gold as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you've got a few in the bag here. Are you able to do anything now? Like, are you working now with the pandemic?
Not now. It's not to say, I don't take down the pepper and, self-tape myself. We don't go to in-person auditions at all, of course. So, there's possibility for work. It's not, it doesn't, it's much slower, much more quiet than it was, of course. Which is again, why I've learned from my, past, and I realized like, well, if, opportunities aren't coming at you, make them your own, make them yourself. So I've managed through it all to write another show. A
TV show?
So,
or, your third show, is that what you're talking about? Or a separate
That's
like TV
right.
show?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So it's, and I'm I'll when I'm not doing the podcast, I do commercial voiceover work. And,
cool.
And it's totally like exactly what you're saying. Like, if you don't go get it, you're not going to get it. They aren't looking for me. I got to go find them. But I do think it's a lot of a relationship business, which, this person, they know that person, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, you got to be able to have the chops. You got to be able to do it, and that's a big thing. So, it looks like, you've got a few on your IMDb here that are in post-production or in the works. And then to take on your own, it's going to end someday. We're going to get back.
Of course. And honestly, I mean, this was really hard for me, especially at first, just because I'm such a social person. But I also live alone. I'm also single. I'm also an only child with my family. 100,000. My dad lives in South America. Like I'm alone. And so that's, as a social creature, this has been really tough. But I agree. I think in many ways, this has forced us. I mean, I'm the same way. I do voiceover, and I had, now I've had the time to sit back and assess my equipment, upgrade that, build a booth, that, like things that I was never doing before.
Right,
so,
right.
But it's like, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I've really been able to kind of assess and,
that's interesting that you say that, because I've got, 3 kids at home and a wife when they're home from college, otherwise I'm down to 1. But to be by yourself during this with quarantining alone, I mean, oh my gosh.
It's no joke. No joke. I mean, I think, the grass is always greener. Like, yeah. I also see my friends homeschooling and who cannot get away from their kids. And they're literally sending me messages from the bathroom, get me out of here.
Yeah, that's true.
In a way I'm like, well, it could be worse. They probably see me and think the exact same thing. So
no, that's probably true. When you think of it that way, there are a lot of struggling teachers in the households nowadays that, luckily mine are old enough.
Who aren't teachers.
What's that?
Who didn't start off as teachers, who don't want to be teachers.
Yeah. I wonder what we're going to end up with here. Whew, could be ugly on the reentry program. Hey, you were in, I watched this show, Good Girls.
Yeah.
It seems like it's so much fun, right?
It was really fun. It was interesting. The director was the same director I was in, who directed me in that show Casual. I don't know if you're familiar with that show. It was a Hulu show. Anyway, it was just funny because the scene was exactly the same scene. I was like, you just like me in this role. This, like, I was a therapist. In the other, I was a mediator for a divorce mediator.
Sure.
It's like, yeah.
So you're getting somewhat.
When he was like, this feels really familiar, I'm like, it is. We did this. We've done this before.
That's weird. You've got a lot on here. I'm just paging through it. So you've been busy. So you probably like a little break, huh? Not that anybody wants to take a break, but
I don't know if I've been busy so much as I'm just old, like I said, and I've had a life.
Well, I think it's interesting that you've got quite a range, which is cool. What's left? Like what are the things on the bucket list? What do we, are there films you'd like to go after or shows you'd like to go after?
Yes. Let's see. I would love to be on like a long running female driven dramedy, like Orange is the New Black or something, where, play like a Crazy Eyes or one of those, like a character that's really big, but grounded,
right?
Real, but over the top at the same time, which we exist. Mm-hmm. We're out there. Let's see. I'd love to be in like a biopic featuring, Carol Burnett, Lily Tomlin, Gilda Radner, Tracy Ullman, like any one of my, comedian touchstones.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Obviously, most immediately, I want to see this one-woman show be the next big, Netflix comedy special and, travel the world with that.
Yeah. How's the process on that?
Take it to Broadway.
How's the process
I've always wanted my face on the side of a bus, but I'm also very careful. I'm always like nervous that maybe I'll get hit by a bus and then my face will be on the side of a bus. So you have to be very specific, I've learned, when you state your goal. I'm
so glad you clarified that for my listeners, because that could have gone either way.
And it can,
I didn't mute my phone. How bad is that? Now how you've been in California a while. How are you handling the California world right now? Being from Chicago, you did a little time in Chicago, you grew up in Denver. How is that adjustment right now? It seems to be crazier than it's ever been in California for strictness. I mean, everybody's leaving. I follow a lot of comedians, Rogan and Kreischer and Maniscalco, and a lot of them are leaving because of the restraint, and obviously the taxes. That's But so how are you? Are you comfortable with all of it? Are you noticing the burn?
It is a ridiculously expensive place to live, but I live here. Like I already bought my house, so yeah. I'm here.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. Yes, that part of the pandemic is a drag, because where I live, it feels, at least in my little world, like the center of the universe. I can walk a block and I'm on the Sunset Strip. I can walk another block and I'm in one of the largest gay parades in the world, and these are things that I value, you know what I mean? It's all about what you care about. If you have kids, you need a good school district.
Right.
I need to have a gay parade close to me at all times. That's something that I care about. And
you're probably in the right place then.
The fact is, gay parades ain't happening right now. Nothing is happening. So you're right. Part of me is why aren't I in a bunker in Montana? I could literally be doing the exact same thing there for a fraction of the cost.
Right.
But I do believe that this will be over. We're not going to be like this forever and ever. It's 50 degrees today, which is freezing here. And it's sure not 50 degrees in Montana, nor is it where you are right now.
I'm just going to look what it is here.
There's count your blessings. And
we're 7. Nice reflection.
It's 7 degrees.
Well,
oh my
that's
God.
The
now I want to look at what the weather is here. Because it probably is over 50.
We did
57.
Yeah. My son's in Arizona. He complains when it gets to 50. It's cold.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's cold.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. Like when I drive around, I see, LA has changed. It's the housing situation is untenable. It's really bad. Yeah. And it hurts my heart because I caught when you said earlier, like all the weirdos out there, I honestly think I'm one of them. Like when I lived in Colorado, I always felt like it's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. But one of us was not like the other, and that was me. And I needed to go. I feel like LA is a place where I can really let my freak flag fly, and there's no judgment. I wore a tutu to my yoga class on Saturday.
Why not?
Because it was my birthday, and
that's what I wanted to do.
And who cares? And you know what I mean? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And honestly, they cared in Colorado. I don't know if they care in Chicago. It was way too cold for tutus there. But they definitely don't care here.
That's cool, though. I mean,
part of the attraction.
It's good to hear that side of it, because I've been hearing so much of the other side of it that it's interesting to hear that, if I want to do these things, I kind of have to be here. On top of your job, you have to be there for your job. Like
I said, at this point, you could be in Atlanta. You could be in, there are other places you could be. Yeah, that's true. But I chose this one, and it's nice out, and it is what it is. And like I said, at this point, I'm sort of settled. So
we don't have a ton of time left with you because you got a heart out here. But I got to get into the voiceover now that I know you've got your booth perfected. What's your genre? What's your sweet spot? What's your highlight?
I definitely prefer animation and games and whatnot. Yeah. Like when I get narration, like when I have to sound like, Kerry Washington or something, like just rattle off a ton of dialogue, yeah. I can do it. I mean, I'm literate, I can read, but it's not where my strengths are. Yeah. I'm best, doing voices and characters. I voiced, actually it was a fun, strong Chicago accent. I voiced the Mafia series, the new game, Mafia 3, I think it was.
The definitive edition.
Anyway, that was fun. That's fun when they're like, now throw yourself out of a moving car. Okay, now throw yourself out of a car that's going 30 miles faster. Now, like,
I was just we were talking before. I was just in Ireland for a voiceover thing, and I spent some time with Debbie Derryberry, who's Jimmy Neutron, and she put on this class, and to see the character thing go. It's amazing. I would love to get into character someday, but it's just not there now. It will be, but it's if you can excel it, it's so fun. Like it's just fun every time you turn the mic on, and it's a whole nother, because I've interviewed a lot of great character actors, and they're like, it's okay to sound like Daffy Duck or to do whatever, but you have to be able to cough with that, or you have to, laugh with that, and you have to make that real, and to take that to that level is not easy to do. People don't understand that, you could do a second of somebody and it's fine, but to maintain a character, poof.
Well, and the one thing I have really learned in it all is that it's not enough to just have a cool voice. Like, I don't actually have a specific, you don't listen to me and go like, oh my God, James Earl Jones, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I could just listen to you all day. Like,
Right.
No one wants to listen to me all day, but I can work as a voiceover talent because I can act.
Right.
Like, it's not about having a cool voice as much as it is just having acting chops.
Right.
And the fact is, I can, look at copy and I can deliver it in character. And, not all characters are going to have a cool voice.
Right. That's interesting because that's the other side of it that people don't understand is that the acting part is really hard. Like it's, if you're not a natural, it's very
Interestingly,
hard to do.
I find the acting part, the easy part, it's all the tech. It's the, I'm a Luddite. I'm like just a dinosaur. Like I'm like a
really?
little old lady in this young body. I'm terrible. Like I thought computers were a phase and that I was like, I wasn't going to listen in computer class because I was like, I'm not going to do this. Like I'm going to do the art and English and music and
yeah.
Well, we see how that worked out.
Well, and it's, I'm doing the tech thing right now. That's why I'm in this temporary studio. I'm actually building a bomb shelter of a studio in the back of the building here. So it's an interesting world. Let's say that. I'm having fun with it. Someday I'll be doing characters. Who knows? So, but we got to get you going. I can't thank you enough for all the time. You've been great. We're going to check in with you down the road once you get that third show going. And
yes, definitely.
You come on here, promote the heck out of it, and we'll make some magic happen. So, again, if people want to find you, you're on social media in different languages. You're everywhere.
I am. I'm at Naomi W. Grossman, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And hopefully in Minnesota once your theaters open up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to come here now. You want to go.
No, I'm staying south for the winter, and I'll come up once it's it's safe and warm.
All right. Well, Naomi Grossman, we wish you well, and we thank you for coming on the podcast. And we'll check in with you somewhere down the road. You take care and be safe.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
That's it.
Bye now.
That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.